Hey, what's up, wrestling fans and YouTube fan? Welcome back to another edition of the DaVon Lewis Show podcast. Thank you for making this your go-to spot for not only weekly wrestling breakdowns, hot takes, and everything under the sun. But appreciate you guys coming through to show you the love and support. Don't forget to smash the like button, heart, and subscribe, and turn on post notifications. I'm your host, DaVon, with a review for AEW's Redemption, their newest pay-per-view that has been on the lineup for Sunday, June 26, 2026. The show previously aired from the Bell Century in Montreal, Quebec, Canada, which is live on Prime, My AEW, and other premium outlets. Let's go ahead and dive into the show and our What's good, ladies and gentlemen? Thank you guys for staying tuned and joining this actual review for AEW's premium pay-per-view Redemption. We kicked things off when it came to everything that took place with the buy-in. The first section of the segment that started to kick things off was the Raju family's celebration at the Redemption buy-in. The crowd gave a warm reception when it came to the brothers of Ray and Jaquez. They was interrupted by Miami's Vice's Rocky Romero from the Don Callis family. The star impressed seeing the crowd celebrating for those two brothers, but more importantly, he said that the Raju brothers make him sick. They weren't special anyway, and more importantly, the only family that matters in this industry was the Don Callis family. Rocky Romero tried to get inside the ring, but things took a physical turn when Jaquez slapped him and then Ray kicked him in the stomach before sending him on the outside with a nice clothesline, and everybody celebrated. Also, who was a part of that segment, Danny Magic, or what we call him, Matt Menard. He was a part of that segment, being the interviewer in between for everything that was taking place. But it was a nice little kickoff to the show to get the crowd riled up to be a part of it. And throughout the whole entire show, it was exciting. It was captivating. It had everything you could have asked for. A great lineup of title matches that was on the card. More importantly, the Canadian crowd really was invested into the show. Then we get to the actual match of the buy-in kickoff. It was the conglomeration. Orange Cassidy, Roderick Strong, and Kyle O'Reilly defended the AEW World Trios Championship against Jay Lethal, Blake Christian, and Lee Johnson. This match wasted no time getting started. It was an all 6 competitor brawl out. There was plenty of energy when it came to the feel of this match. A lot of action. It picked up almost immediately because it kind of tied into the opener. And more importantly, the crowd responded very well when it came to the opening bell. They stayed engaged throughout the whole entire match during the fast-paced exchange. Several conventions, including near falls. But there was a lot of creative spots that kept the momentum going throughout the whole entire coming of the opening match. Due to pacing and solid clarity, I enjoyed the way how things welcomed everybody to AEW. But of course, down to the end, the conglomeration retained the AEW Trios Championship, which was expected, including the outcome, helped keep the momentum when it came to the actual show. More importantly, I feel like this was the weakest match on the card. I truly was not highly invested when it came to the storytelling, but the action was good, but didn't feel like an emotional investment or storyline behind it. But it was just like a filler match that kind of took over the show. But the crowd was excited for it. The showcase of the competitors did everything they possibly can do, especially Orange Cassidy, Roderick Strong, and Kyle O'Reilly getting over with the fans. But I'm looking forward to their next rivalry, which should pick up in a big way when it comes to a lot of people that could be involved. You got the demand that's out there, but it's still a short list Guest on Demand. You got the Hurt Syndicate. You got a lot of other talent that may be mixed together, maybe try and go for the Trios Championship. Things was cool for what it was for the buy-in. I enjoyed how things continue to move forward through the pace of AEW. The pay-per-view is always fun, fast-paced, more importantly, good, solid crowd engagement. But on top of that, the biggest thing is storylines being strong when it comes to the show. But let's go ahead and dive into the main card of AEW's Redemption that kicked off. We had the first official match. It was the 6-way ladder match to determine the #1 contender for the AEW International Championship, featuring Mike Bailey, Nick Wayne, Commander El Clone, the Beast Mortis, Jack Perry, and from the moment the match started, the crowd was completely invested. It brought a lot of high demand, great energy throughout the whole entire match. More importantly, it was everything that you could have asked for. It was exactly what you thought it was going to be when it came to the ladder match. The audience helped elevate big key moments, but more importantly, I thought it was every way that you could have asked for when everybody played their key roles when it came to things being extremely well done. And more importantly, despite the chaotic nature of having a 6 wrestlers in a multi-man ladder match, the pace never fell off whatsoever. It felt controlled. Everybody was able to get their spots off. They seemingly worked together. The transitions between spots were smooth. They was executed very, very well. More importantly, I noticed it was no mistakes whatsoever in this actual match. It could have been a hiccup when it came to Commander doing offside moonsault, but other than that, it was fine. The highlight of the night was Jack Perry hitting the Canadian Destroyer off the ladder, which was absolutely amazing. And then we also had the crowd on their feet when it came to the other spots with the tables being used as well. And it brought another level of excitement. Nick Wayne also did a breathtaking Phoenix Splash off the ladder through a table, which is one of the biggest highlights of the show that you pretty much going to remember about it for a long time. He did a Phoenix Splash off the ladder to the outside and landed through a table through one of your opponents. If I had to give out the MVP of this actual match, it had to be El Clone and the Beast Morris. Both men brought incredible intensity. The showcase was impressive. More importantly, the size and the sequence matched up very, very well, including with them feeling very important. When it came to the ending of the actual ladder match, Mike Bailey captured the victory by becoming the #1 contender for the AEW International Championship. I think it was made in heaven, and more importantly, it was the right decision to have Mike Bailey come on top to be the #1 contender. His deliverance was outstanding. The performance was A+. His upcoming chance for the title against Kyle Fletcher has all the ingredients that you truly could have asked for. It's something special. Their style is a complement to each other. They mesh well together. It's perfected. More importantly, I expected them to put on one of their best matches for the AEW International Championship this year. And overall, this was everything you could have asked for in a ladder match. It was high risk. It was very, very creative when it came to spots. Strong pacing. More importantly, it was excellent chemistry by all 6 competitors. The crowd stayed engaging throughout the whole entire part of the match from start to finish. More importantly, I feel like this was a 5-star performance when it came to everybody doing what they can to kick off the show, and everybody else coming after them was going to have to figure out how to make it work. But the chemistry between Kyle Fletcher and Mike Bailey is going to be something great to look forward to this following Wednesday on AEW Dynamite for the AEW International Championship, and I look forward to seeing what may break down this following Wednesday. Then we get into some more action of the night. It was the tag team action as the Young Bucks took on Will Ospreay and the AEW Continental Champion Jon Moxley, who was accompanied by Marina Shafir. Coming into this match, I was very, very interested to see how Moxley and Ospreay was going to work together, but they did very, very well for being an inexperienced tag team together. but more importantly, they still kept it highly professional. From the opening bell, the match had completely different feel to it. Instead of relying on non-stop speed, it focused a little bit more on physicality, the ring psychology. Every strike felt impactful, every slam had a purpose. Neither team was rushing to get the victory very quickly, and more importantly, I was highly impressed with the chemistry between both teams. Even though Osprey and Moxie aren't a regular tag team, but I give them props. I was highly surprised with the tag team transitions that they actually worked well together with the Young Bucks. While the Young Bucks was a little bit more polished, they were a little bit more synchronized when it came to how things felt, and nothing felt awkward throughout this tag team match. Everything was going naturally. The sequence was cool from the next step to the next step, and it was great storytelling from both sides. The biggest strength of the match was the Young Bucks did a great job cutting the ring off throughout the whole entire time, isolating and forcing Osprey and Moxie to figure different kind of situations to try to get from being undercut throughout the momentum of the match. But eventually the intensity picked up very quickly with a lot of near falls. Everything was really believable when it came to the outside brawling. More importantly, the crowd was highly invested. They stayed all the way through, chanting from start to finish. Down to the end, the Young Bucks were able to pick up the victory over Jon Moxley and Will Ospreay. While some fans may have wanted a different outcome, I thought the finish accomplished what it actually wanted to do, and it needed a good feeling when it came to the momentum. But the Young Bucks continue to create new questions about what's next for them as they're looking for tag team gold, as well as where Ospreay and Moxley go from here. But in overall, it was a very entertaining match. They combined physicality, strong storytelling. It was very strong pace and an excellent crowd engagement. For myself, I'm going to give the score for this match a solid 8.2 out of 10. I enjoyed the feeling of the match. Next up, we have a good singles match as we got Kyle Fletcher defending the AEW International Championship against Bandito. It was everything you could have asked for from the beginning of the opening bell. The match delivered exactly what you expected from two of AEW's best in-ring competitors. This was a hard-hitting physical contest that immediately established fast pace. More importantly, it continued to go throughout the course all the way to the end. Kyle Fletcher did an excellent job slowing things down, controlling the tempo of the match, and he was wrestling like he was a true champion. Staying one step ahead of Bandito, forcing him to fight from underneath to kind of figure things out and get the rally back. But more importantly, even in defeat, Bandito put together an outstanding performance, and his combination of credible, high-risk offense. His strength was on display tonight. It was great to see what Bandito can do in a ring, and he controlled a lot when it came to his strength. More importantly, he created a lot of openings, and one of my favorite moments of the actual match was when Bandito countered Fletcher on the outside and turned it into an actual power bomb onto the floor mat. It was a big thud, but it created a lot of reaction from the fans, and they were chanting holy shit and everything else in between. But the opening minutes was red hot, all the way down to no energy being lost. Pretty much both players did their part, great chemistry. The closing stretch for both men traded near falls all across the board. Also thought the finish was well executed, while Kyle Fletcher showed determination as being a true fighting champion and surviving Bandito's offense before delivering his devastating brainbuster, as well as avalanche brainbuster, to retain the AEW International Championship. I thought it was a great showcase from both champions. As you know, Bandito is the Ring of Honor champion, and he's someone you don't want to sleep on. But the ending accomplished exactly what it needed to feel, keeping Kyle Fletcher momentum strong, while naturally setting up his upcoming title defense against Mike Bailey, who earned a #1 contender spot. opportunity through early in the night in the ladder match. But one thing I can truly say is that they both are going to perform on a high level. They're capable of doing things that we haven't seen, especially they have all the ingredients to bring out the best of each other when it comes to championship matches. I think this is probably going to be one of the highlighted matches for Dynamite coming up between Kyle Fletcher and Mike Bailey. But more importantly, I think it's going to bring strong ring physicality, quality storytelling, and of course, a finishing picture of who may advance to go to All In. AEW produced a great match when it came to Bandito and Kyle Fletcher, and I see it as being one of those top 10 matches of this year's conversation. But AEW continued to keep steam rolling when it came to the conversation of how everything was continuing to transition. We got right away into tag team action. The stipulation was a double chain tag team match which featured the Bang Bang Gang members of Jay White, Juice Robinson, taking on the Dog members of David Finlay and Clark Connors. From the open bell, this was not only a wrestling match, it was a true fight. The brutality, the intensity, it was true evidence from very hard point. From the beginning of the match, both wrestlers generally wanted to hurt each other. Every shot with the chain mattered. More importantly, every strike mattered. And every change was what you expect when it came to the exchange of them having bad blood. And the building felt that when it came to both sides getting chance across the board. But I give credit to AEW for putting this concept together for the stipulation. It added a unique element that fit the rivalry perfectly. But even before the match started, they did an excellent job of highlighting the history of Jay White and David Finlay, history in the Bullet Club, and where they have transitioned down as being part of the AEW brand. It helped the viewers understand how personal the rivalry had become. But throughout the match, the Dogs were absolutely relentless. I mean, they were killing it. They were constantly cutting off the ring from the Bang Bang Gang. More importantly, they were just on the offense non-stop. They refused to give any momentum whatsoever to anybody. They were on it. The Dogs controlled the pace for long stretches of the match. They created a different atmosphere. The crowd got sucked dry when it came to them doing how to play into it, especially David Finlay. But pretty much the comeback moments were great when it came to the Bang Bang Gang. Every time it looked like they were about to get up and get the crowd rally, the Dogs shut them right back down, closing each moment and momentum. But the chemistry was perfect for what it was for that tag team match. Unfortunately, the ending wasn't what a lot of people expected it to be, but it had a lot of interference when it came to Wheeler Yuta, Daniel Garcia, and of course follow up with Marina Shafir helping out David Finlay to secure the victory and take it away from a good match. But more importantly, I felt like it was a little personal battle when it comes to whatever's going on with the Death Riders just in general. But I prefer to see where things may settle. But it seems like it's going to be a new rivalry being involved outside of the things that we've done with the Bang Bang Gang and the Dogs. But the finish left me very disappointed. It felt like the rivalry deserved a lot more to the conclusion that it was, especially if it was the ending of the rivalry. But at some point, it looks like AEW is shifting their focus on a new feud, as having the Bang Bang Gang and the Death Riders now going at it, which could be very interesting direction if it's executed very well. But this was a violent, physical, emotional charged match with strong storytelling, convincing of intensity. The stipulation had enhanced the rivalry, but more importantly, it left the fans wanting more when it came to how things were going on. But in overall, I give this match maybe as an 8 out of 10. It was kind of solid. It was not too bad, not too shabby from my own personal opinion. But I really enjoyed the pace of how this match was going, but with the lackluster finish. Now we move on to the next match. The women now are in action. We have Hikaru Shida defending the AEW TBS Women's Championship against the rising star, Maya World. Coming into this match, the atmosphere felt noticeably different compared to other matches that Ricardo has had. In general, the crowd never really were invested or alive in this match whatsoever. They were flatlined throughout the whole entire match. The in-ring perspective, it was cool. Their chemistry between each other was solid, from my own personal opinion. It just couldn't get the crowd involved into it. I don't know which direction they're going with Hikaru Shida. I don't know if they're going to make her face or heel, but it seemed like it's just all over the place. Like the motions is just pick a lane and see where it goes from there. But the majority match was great when it came to Hikaru Shida, when it came to her striking abilities, technical wrestling, and her submission game, which dictated the whole entire pace of the match. The slower style gave the crowd a chance to settle after a lot of intensity from the previous matches that took place, but it was a little difficult to kind of stay afloat and kind of be invested. But the biggest thing showed what it could be, as you never know what can happen in the land of professional wrestling. Seeing the rising star, Maya World, she was great. She didn't get to dominate the match, but she created a lot of openings, and she showcased her athleticism, her confidence, and proved that she continued to improve each and every week when she stepped in the AEW ring. The biggest surprise of the night came with the finish. Maya World was defeated Hikaru Shida with a roll-up and became the new AEW Women's TBS champion. I was highly surprised. I wasn't expecting too much from this match, but the crowd was shocked too. It threw them off, and they wasn't expecting Maya World to get this much momentum moving forward, because it just couldn't get the drive of the fans involved and keep them excited. But I think the change is great for the potential to refresh the TBS Championship picture, create a new opportunity for fresh new rivalries along the line of the AEW Women's division. More importantly, it's very unquestionable what direction they were going when it came to Rashida. I feel like she's accomplished a lot. She's the first AEW Women's Champion, but I feel like her character needs a full rebranding. The audience never fully connected when it came to the match, not even rallied behind Maya World either. It was kind of like just one of those things where people felt like it was a restroom break. But that's just my personal opinion. Everybody may have different opinions. It was a great opportunity to establish her as a new champion, but also making it meaningful for new rivalries when it comes to upcoming challengers. But once again, congratulations to Maya World for capturing the AEW TBS champion. This match felt flat. I'm going to give it a 6.2 out of 10. It was exciting because of the ending that happened, because of the surprise title change. But the future of the division is in good hands when it comes to Maya World. But I'm looking to see what Tony Khan has up his sleeve to continue to help her evolve. But I think that was the right call to make her become a champion, because I feel like they didn't know exactly what to do with Hikaru Shida. But the division feels with a nice fresh start, a new direction, and create several interesting matchups. I would love to see Maya World getting in a battle against Anna Jay, Chris Stanley, or even Athena to get the run as being the underdog, feel as being the champion, but also getting those shocking victories over time. The next match, we had the tag team titles on the line. We had Adam Copeland and Christian Cage defending those gold against the Death Riders of Claudio Castelloni and Pac of the Death Riders. This match was one of those matches that you truly had to sit and watch and enjoy. I want to see what Claudio and Pac can put together individually, but also want to see what they can mix together on the tag team scene. But of course, they were having their hands tied when it came to the tag team veterans of Cope and Cage. But the opening bell was aggressive. It was straight to the point. It wasn't traditional wrestling, but it was more so a hybrid style of wrestling all in general. The Death Riders immediately interrupted Adam Copeland's entrance, launched a brutal attack on him, setting the tone for what was become the physical, hard-hitting part of the match. And it was a classic heel move by the Death Riders, which I truly enjoyed, because their urgency is they want to take, separate them. You take one down, and you take the other one out from there. But the match officially got underway when Cage came down and they got into a full-on brawl. Their styles were completely different when it came to not only Claudio and Pac, but as well as Cage and Cope. The physiology was no flashy offense. It was chain wrestling. It was high impact moves. The slams felt important. They did not rush in this tag team match. More importantly, it felt important when it came to the overall feel of the tag team division. Pac looked surprisingly comfortable as a tag team with Claudio, and Chris Cage reminded everyone that they could still consider the greatest tag team of all time of this generation, and they're up there in the top 5 from my own personal opinion. Mick Foley was on a buy-in and he thought so as well. But they put on a full-on display throughout the start all the way down to the ending of the match. It was great storytelling. Majority of the match, the Death Riders constantly cut off the ring in half, isolated Copeland and Cage, but more importantly, it was a great build-up to the momentum for the hot tag, and the tag team champions just was not letting up. They made a nice couple of comebacks throughout the majority of the match, giving the Canadian crowd what they wanted. They were invested, they were chanting for the champions throughout the majority of the match, and it progressed it very, very quickly with a lot of intensity, a lot of near falls. The fans were great. They were actually highly invested minute by minute, all the way down to the end, with Adam Copeland and Christian Cage retaining the AEW World Tag Team Championship. And I thought it was a great feeling in Canada for them to go on one last run with the tag team titles and keeping the tag team titles. More importantly, making it feel valuable for those go just in general. But now they're heading to All In, where it's a potential showdown with the Young Bucks, which already feels like a marquee attraction, a big WrestleMania kind of feel, but in AEW. At the same time, the loss creates new questions of what's next for the Death Riders. They're on a losing streak back to back, and they got to figure out where they remain focused on the tag team division, or are they going to focus on their new feuds, which they have been starting like a wildfire with everyone in 2026. But this is an excellent tag team title match that built a lot of physicality, smart storytelling, strong physicality, outstanding crowd engagement, and more importantly, it didn't rely on over-the-top spots or anything that made it feel like it was a cruiserweight classic or anything like that. It was ground and pound, straight to the point, great transitions, and it was enjoyable. The score I'm going to give for this is an 8.8 out of 10. AEW continued to impress me when it comes to not only putting the matches together, but I like to see a little bit more storytelling in the cards. I had enjoyed the feeling of that tag team match. Now we go over to the next match. It's going to be the Painmaker, Chris Jericho, going one-on-one with Tommaso Ciampa in a no-holds-barred match. Ladies and gentlemen, this match was everything that you could ask for. I feel like this really, truly was the final chapter in their rivalry. It was building for weeks on the AEW programming. This wasn't just a cookie-cutter wrestling match. This fight was everything from beginning to end. As soon as the bell rang, both immediately reached for weapons. They made it clear they weren't interested in filling each other out, doing no chain wrestling. Even Aubrey Edwards, the referee in the match, she wasted no time putting protective gloves on, and she was game on. She knew it was going to get messy. But you never knew what was going to happen in that kind of level of violence. But everybody was on edge, and they were chanting throughout the whole entire time. It never slowed down. The weapon shots felt really on point. Those are real consequences, and they gonna be sore tomorrow. The crowd stayed loud and fully invested throughout the whole entire match because there was a lot of sense that something crazy was going to happen after every single thing that kept happening. One of the biggest strengths of this match was the chemistry between Chris Jericho and Ciampa. It was nothing you could have truly asked for. They did exactly how it's supposed to be. If you want to know how to make a hardcore match, play-by-play of making a violent match, and balancing it as well with a couple key moments, they allowed a lot of great anticipation. They build up for the next brutal on spot. Chris Jericho, Painmaker persona was on full display, embracing the darker side of his character, being a little bit more ruthless. But more importantly, Tommaso Ciampa reminded everyone why he's one of the most convincing heels in professional wrestling. He embraced his chaos. More importantly, he showed no remorse and looked completely at home when it came to the no holds barred. One of my favorite moments was when they used the fire extinguisher. It was a whole lot, and Chris Jericho, I think he almost blinded himself with the extinguisher on accident, adding to another creative layer to their onslaught and their brawl throughout the whole entire thing. Given the visual presentation, the crowd immediately reacted to. It was a hockey part of it that really broke down what I call a lot of hockey references. It played perfectly. The audience ate it up. They were a hockey town. It was bloody. It was brutal. It had a little bit of more realism when it came to everything that took place, including with the nice prop spots. They were willing to do whatever they can to entertain the fans in Canada. Chris Jericho was able to pick up the victory. I think AEW made the right decision. The Painmaker made a lot of great things happen in that match, and he kind of navigated it, and it was great in front of the Canadian crowd. I give Jericho his props. He has strong momentum as looks like he's going to be now moving closer to a All In. The biggest question now is what's next for him. Who steps up to challenge Chris Jericho after a victory like that? And more on top of that, where does Tommaso Ciampa go from here? After coming up short in that brutal no holds barred match, where does he take things personal and continue to feud? Or is he going to have a new target later on? Because most of the time he's on Collision or Dynamite. But we got to see what turns up in the next couple weeks. It was hard hitting. It was key moments that you definitely will remember. It was a very satisfying match. It was a 9.2 out of 10. I enjoyed everything that both of them put together. They put on a symphony, and it was great for a hardcore match. It didn't have to do over top too much, but it delivered enough to be entertaining. Then we get to the next match. Mark Davis taking on Andrade for the AEW National Championship. The match was hard-hitting as it possibly can be from the opening of the match. Mark Davis controlled majority of the match, and he controlled how the pace was running too. But he proceeded to control his dominance with brute force. But Andrade was truly impressive, not only with his high-risk arsenal and quickness, but he also showed a great strength as well, and showing how strong he is. The crowd was highly invested in the beginning, but then they end up going quiet through the majority of the match. Andrade's new entrance in the beginning was great. I love how he set it up by having the ladies there as well, with the new lower thirds and everything that was kind of like a tropical background. And I thought that was kind of cool. But to determine when it came to the situation, it became clear that Andrade became the new AEW National Champion with his finisher, The Mission. It was a solid match to advance to in a feud with the Don Callis family or move on to MJF or All In. Congratulations to Andrade for getting the victory. As for Mark Davis, he was a good champion, but he should be in the tag team division along with Mark Doyle, and they will be a solid, great tag team and dominate the tag team division. The next match features Thekla defending the AEW Women's Championship against Willow Nightingale, and from the opening bell, these two competitors put on everything. and show why they're in high regards to the women's division. They were great when it came to the overall blendment of hard-hitting offense with technical chain wrestling on top of that. Declan controlled the majority of the match using her speed, her ring awareness, and technical ability to dictate the pace while keeping Willow on the defensive majority of the time. But every time Willow was ready to build up for momentum, Declan always had an answer to kind of shut her down, and she was showing why she was the champion for a reason. She was very confident, and she was in control of the whole entire match. Despite spending a large portion of the match fighting back and forth with Willow, Willow once again proved why she was one of the toughest women in AEW, not only with her strength, not only with the way how she know how to move around the ring. She put up a fight. She was fighting with her shield, and she wasn't going to give up. It was a nice draw reaction. The audience was truly engaging through the majority of this match, all the way from the opening of the match and even down to the final moments. The atmosphere became electric as the fans sensed a champion change could be on the horizon, just how well the match was going. I also didn't mind the interference from Sky Blue. I figured they were going to get involved so it could make Willow Nightingale look dominant when it came to, even though it was overshadowing the whole entire match. But the finish delivered exactly what the key moment needed, which was having a new AEW Women's World Champion. Willow Nightingale was able to defeat Tekla by capturing the championship. More importantly, now she has accomplished it all. She is now what we call in the term of AEW or even pro wrestling. She is now carried all the gold. From the TBS Championship to the Tag Team Championship, now she's got the main one. Now she's basically holding it all. She's a Grand Slam champion, a major milestone in her career. More importantly, the victory has reshaped the championship picture, setting up the stage for All In as the Owen Hart winner, Mercedes Moné, will be preparing to face Willow Nightingale at All In. And I look forward between those two meeting for the fourth time. It's going to be everything they truly could have asked more and more. Congratulations again to Willow Nightingale on an incredible achievement, and it was well deserved. And I think Tony Khan made the right decision on that. But as for Tekla, I thought she represented the championship extremely very well with a couple of defenses, and her reign was solid. It had no scratches into it. It did everything you truly could have asked for, and it established her as a top player when it comes to the women's division. But I don't think she's done yet. I don't think this loss hurts her too much whatsoever. I fully expect for her to remain up there right behind to challenge again. But moving forward, it's going to be good when it comes to the women's division at All In. It was great storytelling. The in-ring action was what you needed for a championship match. The title change was very, very exciting. More importantly, it was a 8.9 out of 10 because of the involvement of Sky Blue, but it was calm, cool, collective, and it was cool for what it was. Now it's main event time for the AEW World Championship. We're going to have Kenny Omega defending the World Championship against the TNT champion Kevin Knight in a champion versus champion showdown, but Kenny Omega is defending the gold. Through the opening bell, the match delivered everything, a lot of urgency as Kevin Knight was on an offensive very quickly. He was very intensive. He was looking to get the goal very quickly. A lot of near falls carried the momentum of this match. One mistake could have happened, but they finally slowed it down because Kenny Omega took over the match, and it was a long night of great wrestling. The crowd finally came back alive throughout the majority of it. They were fully invested from start to finish, from the chants to the clapping to this is awesome to everything that you could have asked for. It delivered a performance worthy of a closing the show. One of the biggest strengths of this match that I truly can say was the chemistry between Kenny Omega and Kevin Knight. Them boys put on a clinic. Their styles complement each other, but it was perfect. With Omega relying on not only his ring IQ, his championship experience, and ability to capitalize on every opening, while Kevin Knight showcased his speed, his determination to fight through it with grit, and of course, he's the fastest rising star in AEW, one of the newer pillars in AEW. But it was a lot of great back and forth exchanges, signature moves, hard-hitting strikes. It was very dramatic with a lot of near falls. It kept the audience guessing until the final end, making every moment feeling meaningful. And more importantly, Kenny Omega once again proved why he sits at the top of AEW as the world champion. He remained calm under the pressure, regardless of what was going to happen. Kevin Knight's offense delivered very, very well, but more importantly, it mattered most in key moments. But at the end, Kevin Knight came up short and lost to Kenny Omega. But still put respect on his name because he is still the TNT champion. Even in defeat, he looked like a legitimate main eventer and proved that he belongs at the top of the division one day on the biggest stage. Sometimes loss can elevate a wrestler, but more importantly, even in victory. But I believe this is one of the most great performances by Kenny Omega and Kevin Knight, putting on a clinic for the AEW crowd in Canada. The championship continues to be in a great fitting, but more importantly, it was a great way to conclude the show with an outstanding pay-per-view. More importantly, the victory sends Omega into one of the biggest matches of AEW history along his reign as he prepares for his next big challenge at All In, and it's going to be at Wembley Stadium in London. If he's able to perform very well and with no problems, he said he's in the best shape he possibly can be with no injuries, then I look forward to seeing him. But in All In is going to be everything you could have asked for. It's going to have all the ingredients to steal the show when it comes to this main event between Kenny Omega and Will Ospreay. Overall, the excellent main event delivered championship level wrestling, outstanding storytelling, believable drama, and the finish left AEW in a good standing when it came to how they concluded the show. It was a 9.5 out of 10. It was close to a 10 from my point of view, but it did a really, really great job of closing the pay-per-view. When it came to the post-credits or the post-match, Kenny Omega was still the world champion, but Kevin Knight walked out with something just as more credibility. But he stand toe-to-toe with the best wrestler in the company, and I don't take anything from him. But when it comes to Kenny Omega's legacy, it cements him as the face of AEW, with All In now on the road just becoming even more exciting. I look forward to seeing what may actually take place and go from there. But we break things down to the post-match. We're going to talk about what took place, ladies and gentlemen. It was coming to a close when AEW delivered one of the nice final twists to send everybody home happy. It changed the conversation heading into All In. Moments after Kenny Omega had successfully defended the AEW World Championship, he was blindsided by the Death Riders. That includes all the members, including Jon Moxley, Willa Yuta, Pac, as well as Claudio Castagnoli and Marina Shafir. They launched a vicious assault on the champion. The Young Bucks quickly ran down to try to make the save, but they were overwhelmed and taken out as well. But it made it clear that the Death Riders had come with a plan, and they weren't leaving until they made a statement to help Will Ospreay. As their attack continued to beat down, as they continued to put the boots to Kenny Omega's face, the situation took an even darker turn when Jon Moxley ordered Will Ospreay to place a plastic bag over Kenny Omega's head, and it was a shocking moment, but at the same time, Will Ospreay wasn't going for it. He ripped it up, and he ended up turning on the Death Rider standing tall, following his own consequences and everything in him through the defining moments. Will Ospreay refused. Instead, he's carrying out Moxley's orders, and he turned on them. He fought back, and now he's being his own man once again. But it made him look like a true player because he took out the whole entire group, standing face to face with Moxley, leaving a nice impression. But the biggest powerful statement was when Kenny Omega got up to his feet. He was frustrated, he was agitated when it came to the consequences of what the Death Riders had done. Kenny Omega and Will Ospreay had a moment of mutual respect, but Kenny Omega was leaving the fans on a cliffhanger. He left them off the edge. He went ahead and put his differences aside, but then he came with the classic Kenny Omega style. It didn't last long. He caught Will Ospreay off guard completely, and Omega delivered a devastating one-winged angel before not only standing tall alongside with the Young Bucks, and they did their signature poses, but it raised a high anticipation for the show for All In. And overall, I thought this was an outstanding closing when it came to the angle, and it accomplished several key moments, including the reinforcement of the Dawn Comes with the Death Riders as a dangerous faction. It showcased Will Ospreay's character by having him refuse to cross the line of going over the edge, but he reminded everyone that Kenny Omega is willing to do whatever it takes to stay on top. And now I think Will Ospreay now learned his lesson. But more importantly, it created a big field moment for All In, leaving the fans with multiple unanswered questions. Can Kenny Omega and Will Ospreay trust each other before we get close? More importantly, will Jon Moxley and the Death Riders retaliate after everything that took place? And how will the Young Bucks fit into this World Championship picture when they're getting ready to go into tag team action and go to battle with Cope and Christian? But don't forget, this following Wednesday, they will have a face-to-face conversation talk about their upcoming tag team match at All In. This was a great pay-per-view. It left the fans talking, debating, countdown days until All In, but more importantly, kept everybody highly intrigued on what's going to be the next compelling storyline that makes All In feel like a bigger show than it already currently is. But in general, I enjoyed the overall feel of All In. I appreciate you guys coming through. I'm going to give this pay-per-view a 9.5 out of 10. Great ring action. Storylines had great telling. It was very intriguing throughout the majority of the matches. No hiccups. And the road of AEW's big show, All In, is going to be going in a great direction moving forward. But I enjoyed how things shall be. More importantly, I appreciate you guys coming through. Don't forget to smash the like button, subscribe, and turn on all post notification bells. Until the next episode, I'll catch you guys later.